One evening in the city, John arrives at his apartment where his wife Karen is waiting, but they barely speak to each other and eat their meals in separate rooms. It's obvious their marriage is falling apart. They do sit down together to watch the news, where they learn about a dangerous infection that's spreading fast. John believes it's just some greedy drug company trying to make money and even accuses them of creating the virus, but Karen pays no attention to his ideas. When John says he needs to grade some school papers before bed, Karen tries to tell him something important, but she decides to wait until tomorrow instead. The following morning, John hears a plane flying dangerously low. It punches a hole through their ceiling before crashing into a nearby building. Right then, Karen finally tries to have that important conversation, but John rushes out to see what happened. He doesn't hear her say that she wants to end their marriage. Outside, John sees the plane has smashed into the side of a building, creating a massive fire. People from their building tell John that infected people are attacking and biting others, so he hurries back inside to warn Karen while they keep hearing emergency sirens wailing outside. They look through their window and see that infected people have turned into zombies who are now attacking and eating other people. The couple quickly turns on the television, and Karen starts drinking alcohol while watching news reporters warn everyone to stay in their homes. Next, they check their food supply and realize they don't have much, which stresses John out so badly that he runs to the bathroom and vomits. Karen tells him to go get food from their neighbors' apartments, reminding him that the hallway should be safe and nobody cares about breaking the law anymore. She also says they'll take turns going out. A short time later, John comes back carrying food and mentions that their neighbor's door was already open. Karen says she'll go next, but first she puts on a helmet and gloves and attaches a knife to her shoe with tape. Before she leaves, she asks John to take the moving boxes out of the closet so they can use them to store their supplies. When Karen gets back with more food and items, John asks her if those boxes meant she was planning to leave him, or if she just got them to put things away. Karen simply answers yes. After that, she sends John out wearing protective gear to bring back the neighbor's big television. That evening, the news reporter says this will be their final broadcast, saying they'll return when things get better. He tells everyone again to stay inside and not have physical contact with anyone. Military groups are taking people to safety, so anyone who needs to be rescued should mark an X on their windows. News updates will be shared on the radio at 3 o'clock every afternoon. The couple uses tape to make an X on their windows, and later that night a helicopter flies past their building, but it doesn't stop to help them. The next morning, John finds Karen returning with more supplies. She explains she couldn't sleep, so she went through nearby apartments because they don't know how long they'll be trapped there. John makes her promise they'll return everything once the pandemic ends, but he's really disappointed when he sees Karen has taken unnecessary things like fancy dresses. Later, John worries that zombies might break into their apartment and looks for ways to protect himself, like using spray and a lighter to create a homemade flamethrower. Karen helps him collect all the knives and hammers in their home and some flour to throw and block the zombies' vision. At 3 o'clock, a government worker on the radio says they still don't know what caused the pandemic, and that only some parts of the world are affected. He promises they're doing everything they can to keep the electricity and water running. To keep their minds occupied, the couple plays card games. John thinks everything will return to normal because history shows that people always bounce back from terrible events like the Black Plague. Karen gets annoyed by his constant cheerfulness and starts drinking even though it's still morning. When John criticizes her for it, Karen tells him she's been drinking every single day for a year and he never even noticed. He follows her into the nursery room and they finally talk about the painful truth they've been avoiding. It turns out their baby daughter died and their relationship hasn't been the same since. Karen thinks that soon they'll die too, but John tells her they're going to survive this. Wanting to be prepared if they're attacked, the couple begins exercising regularly. But Karen never stops drinking. One night she hears someone at their door and John wonders if it's the rescue team. When he opens the door, a zombie immediately reaches inside and the couple has to push hard against the door to close it again. That afternoon, the radio reports that a scientist is working to identify the virus so they can create a vaccine. The stress from getting no real information is really affecting the couple, who decide to smoke to cope with everything. Regular cigarettes aren't strong enough, so Karen shows him she has stronger drugs that she took from the evidence locker at work. John panics at first, but ends up using the drugs too. When Karen teases him for being scared, she says she's proud of him before showing him the big collection of illegal drugs she's brought home from her job, plus a gun. She also confesses that the last few times they were intimate, it was because she secretly put drugs in their muffins, which makes John want to try more drugs. The couple spends the evening watching old VHS tapes and drinking. The next day, Karen is shocked awake by a gunshot and something shattering. She finds out John is practicing shooting the gun and has accidentally broken a bowl that Karen's mother gave her. He reminds her that she hates her mother anyway, but Karen is still upset. When she goes to the bathroom, she sees a rescue helicopter flying by without stopping on their street. During breakfast, John says yesterday opened his eyes and he agrees they need to prepare for staying home a long time. They start by placing the broken bowl pieces outside their door. Then they make several homemade fire bombs using their alcohol bottles. They keep exercising, but they also continue using the drugs. At 3 o'clock, they turn on the radio, but there's no broadcast this time. Right then, someone knocks on their door. The couple grabs their hammers and opens the door just a crack to find their neighbors Leo and Emily standing there. They ask to come inside and explain what happened to them. They got trapped in the laundry room after the plane crashed, and by the time they finally escaped, zombies had taken over their apartment. They guessed real people lived here because they saw the broken bowl pieces outside. Neighbors ask for food since they haven't eaten anything in 2 days. So John and Karen go into the kitchen. Then both couples start arguing in whispered voices. Emily tells Leo that Karen went insane after losing her baby and finding out she can never have children again. He also complains about Karen removing her notes from the laundry room. Meanwhile, Karen tells John they should be saving their food for just the two of them and complains about Emily covering the laundry room with angry sticky notes. John insists that helping others is the right thing to do. So Karen suggests they should mix drugs into the food because it reduces hunger. After eating dinner together, Emily notices that the dresses and the television look like they belong to her. Karen asks the guests what they plan to do next, and Leaf says if she wants them to leave, they will. But Karen isn't brave enough to tell them to go. Leo mentions they're good at cleaning, and Karen responds by saying they can help with housework. They spend the rest of the evening drinking and talking, though Emily stops Leo from getting too passionate in a debate with John, making him change his opinion to be polite. When it's bedtime, Leo and Emily are surprised to learn they'll have to sleep on the floor. While brushing her teeth, Karen complains to John, saying their guests think they're superior because they have extra bedrooms in their own place. However, she still doesn't want to kick them out because she's worried that after the pandemic ends, other neighbors will criticize them for not helping. That night, Karen has sex with John just to irritate their guests with the sounds they make. Emily sees it as a contest and has sex with Leo too, so both women get louder and louder on purpose. Next morning, Emily stays in the bathroom doing nothing just to make Karen wait her turn. After breakfast, Karen asks the guests to clean the apartment in exchange for being fed. While cleaning, Emily complains that cleaning work is humiliating. Leo says they should go along with it and even mentions they could just leave. But Emily wants payback, so they agree to overpower John and Karen while they're sleeping. After they finish cleaning, Leo and Emily see Karen taking a nap and say they should attack now. Karen wakes up and pulls John into another room to tell him she's suspicious of their guests because she overheard what they were saying. Believing that Leo and Emily want to murder them, the couple decides to attack them first. A little while later, Karen shares some cookies that she secretly made with illegal drugs, planning to just scare them. However, she uses way too much and the couple eats so many cookies that they end up dying on the couch. Unable to handle being killers, John and Karen take some drugs to calm down. Suddenly, they hear Leo and Emily waking up and realize they're turning into zombies. So Karen immediately shoots them both. Then they drag the bodies to the other apartment and spend the rest of the day using stimulant drugs. When it's time for bed, they take sleeping pills to fall asleep. That night, they sleep so deeply that they don't hear a rescue helicopter telling survivors to turn on their lights so they can be found. The next morning, Karen says that since any day could be their last day alive, she wants to spend it being true to herself, use more stimulant drugs and spend a long time having sex. Afterward, while they're taking a bath together, Karen says that after this is all over, she wants to adopt a child, and John agrees with her. They both admit they never stopped loving each other and hope to fix their relationship. The first thing they do is have a date night at home, and John admits he let his work take over his life after they lost their baby. However, the pandemic has given him a new way of seeing things and taught him what he really wants in life. After watching a romantic movie together, the couple prepares to have sex, but right then someone knocks on their door. A voice claims it's the rescue team, and Karen opens the door, only for 3 criminals to rush inside and knock her down. They threaten John with a knife and tell him to collect anything valuable while the leader drags Karen to the bedroom to rape her. When she sees a chance, she throws flour in his face and kicks him in the groin. Then she grabs some scissors and stabs him repeatedly in the neck. The other 2 criminals come to check on their leader and get angry at Karen, but before they can hurt her, John shows up with the gun and quickly shoots them both dead. The couple drags the bodies to another apartment before having a drink. Suddenly, they hear a voice and realize it's actually the rescue team. They run to the window and try to get their attention but fail. They decide to leave their apartment and find that the hallway is filled with zombies, so John starts hitting them with a hammer and ends up covered in their blood. This isn't enough to create a path through them. So the couple closes the door again and goes back to the window, but the helicopters have already left. Karen gets anxious because they don't have much food remaining, so John promises they'll figure out a plan after they rest. In the middle of the night, Karen wakes up to find John sharpening all their weapons and preparing flashlights with fresh batteries. Then they put on some protective clothing and share loving words with a kiss. The couple leaves their apartment and tries to fight through the crowd of zombies. However, there are too many of them and they're forced to go back home. After calming down, Karen reveals that a zombie bit her leg. John immediately comforts her, saying she might not transform if she stays alive and reminding her that a drug company will want to make money with a vaccine soon. That night, Karen finds out she doesn't like wine anymore. After having a terrible nightmare, Karen wakes up and tries to leave the apartment. When John stops her, she explains she feels a strange hunger that she can't control. John cuts himself and pours his own blood into a glass, and Karen quickly drinks it all. Realizing this actually helps with her hunger, she points out that John can't keep giving her blood forever and he gets angry, saying it's his decision and they just need to wait for help to arrive. He hugs her to say sorry for his angry outburst, and Karen admits she can smell his blood, so she tells him to cover the wound. Later, the couple talks about their future and cries together. Then Karen takes a bath and thinks about killing herself, but she can't go through with it. John brings her a glass of blood and she desperately drinks every drop. That night they have sex without needing to use any drugs first. The next morning, John wakes up to find the bed empty. In the bathroom, there's a letter from Karen thanking him for a wonderful life together. She explains she's been having nightmares about becoming a zombie and wants him to end her life, so he needs to go to the nursery room. John goes to that room and finds Karen has turned into a zombie and is chained to the wall. A sign hangs on her chest with the words written on it, "Love me, kill me." Crying, John tells her about the future he imagines after the pandemic ends. After drinking alcohol to ease his pain, he grabs his gun and gets ready to shoot his wife. Short time later, a group of soldiers enters the apartment because they saw the X on the window. When they enter the nursery, they find that both John and Karen are now zombies and their arms are taped together. The captain calls it love before another soldier reads a new law out loud. Zombies aren't considered citizens anymore, and to keep the peace they have the right to shoot them dead. After killing John and Karen, the soldiers leave the apartment. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below, and if you like the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.